It's just after 11 AM and I'm just about to leave the marina at Scarisbrick, where I've been for the last 5 weeks, and we're heading down to Burscough, which is only 4 miles away, but I need to be there for Sunday to meet up with the daughter and her family. So we've got a short little journey with a couple of swing bridges in the way, and off we go. Because of the shape of the marina, I think I'm going to reverse over there and then swing it round, and then we have to go out around the other side of these boats you can see in camera now. So now I'm going to swing the back up in that direction. There's our home for the last 5 weeks, just being left behind. As we gently reverse now. Between the rows of boats. Going backwards, it's always better to be slow rather than fast. Once things start to go wrong, like most things, it's more complicated to fix something that started going wrong than it is to carefully avoid it going wrong in the first place. So we need to go up towards those trees, and then I'm going to reverse. And now we're moving backwards again. I can see a cat sitting on a boat. I wonder if that's the cat that's been sneaking into my boat in the last week and stealing Flan's food. Ends around. And there's the exit to the marina in front of us. As I've said before, the narrow little entrance with a 90-degree bend onto the canal. So I'm going to need to use the horn in a minute to warn any boats on the canal that I'm coming out, and hopefully they'll sound their horn in return, but they don't always. We'll be turning left towards Wigan, although today we're only going to the place that's written on the map as Burscough, but I discovered it's pronounced locally as Burscough. Okay, give me a bank account. the horn, see if we get an answer. Don't hear anything, but I'm still going to go very carefully because, as I say, not everybody does that. Replies, I mean. So we're now drifting in neutral, but I'll need to put some throttle on in a minute, otherwise I won't make this corner. Nobody in sight. And that's it, we're back on normal canals now. Just left Burscough and I've got to film this. This has got to be the prettiest canal side garden I think I've ever seen. Look at that. I don't know if it belongs to one house or if it's a communal garden. It looks like it could be either, but very nice. I'll try to catch this even though the sun is coming in our eyes. This is Parbold. There's the old mill. Moorings along here, and the canal takes a sharp right here with the church spire sticking up over the trees. It's a very lovely late summer, early autumn day today, so I shall make the most of it and see how far I can get. The Nicholson guide that I normally rely on is actually not very accurate around here. It's got a lot of the bridge numbers are wrong. So I was thinking I was further back, and suddenly I discovered I'm half a mile further on than I thought, which is very nice. So there's Alder Lane Bridge in front. There's quite a bit of floating weed. I'm not sure if it's the same floating pennywort that we had troubles with last year down at Denham near London, but I am treating it with caution, trying to get around the patches. I did briefly run aground back there because of that. I just suddenly ran onto a mud bank under the water. So this is the village of Parbold, not far from Wigan. Here we are at the Appley Locks near the village of Appley Bridge, and the lock gate, oh, excuse me, there's a fly trying to get in my mouth. The lock gate you can see in front is no longer used. There were two side by side, and that was one of them. In fact, that was one of a pair of locks on that side, and what we're left with today is the main lock, which you can see in front of me in the distance, which is still in operation. It's quite deep as well. It's a 12-foot drop, so we'll get down to that. I'll slow down now. We're just coming into Wigan now at the end of the afternoon, and I thought I'd film this because, as you can see, there's still some commercial buildings all the way along here, and I've heard the sound of hammering and banging in that green shed there by Lock 88. And over here it's all open land and a stadium of some sort. By comparison, I was just recently rereading George Orwell's 1936 book, The Road to Wigan Pier, which is actually a coal loading pier on the canal about half a mile ahead of me. And he described the canal as a mire, and the whole place as being crowded with filthy and insanitary housing that people were crammed into because there was nothing else. And he said along by the canal, which I guess must be along here, were rows of barely converted buses and tram cars and basically sheds to make a kind of a shanty town, and people were paying rent to live there as well. It's all very depressing. I don't know what the business is like at Wigan now after all the mines have closed down, but it certainly looks an awful lot cleaner. We'll see when we get to Wigan Pier itself. This is Wigan Pier, famous from the title of George Orwell's book, although in fact when he was here the pier wasn't here. It's since been replaced, but it was for loading coal that was mined, and all the mines in this area, sorry, somebody talking to me on the bank. Yes, mined in this area were loaded onto narrowboats, and in fact just over there you can see the leftovers from one of the loading ramps. You can see there's metal girders there that curve upwards, and there's tracks embedded in the ground. So the trucks would be rolled down until they hit that ramp, and then they would tip over and the coal would tip into the boats. So it's all very clean and tidy here now. You can see this is Pier 4. The nice jetty on the front. The metal brackets on the wall, I think, would have originally carried a roof so that the boats could pull in and load and unload under shelter, whatever the weather. And you can see the crane jibs. Whoops, another one up above me. That's a very blue sky. Yes, for loading heavy goods. So it's all post-industrial here now, and very much cleaner than Orwell described in 1936. Just after 10 o'clock, and we're ready to go. As you can see, we're at Henhurst Canal Bridge, and I'm in the lock here with another boat, and we're just ready to go just down here under that next bridge and then we'll turn right on the Leigh branch of the Leeds and Liverpool Canal. We've got 2 locks to go through there, and then it's a long straight cruise. This white sign over there, I'll see if I can zoom in on it. It says we're 35 miles from Liverpool, so got a long way to go still. Although I've just found out this morning, talking to other boaters as you do, that the Trent and Mersey Canal is now open again, so I won't have to do a detour down the Shropshire Union, and that will shorten the overall journey. I've got to recalculate it now, but it'll save me a few locks and a few miles. Well, we came out of the lock, we've made the turn now onto the Leigh branch, and we're just heading down to Poolstock Lock number 1. We've got to wait there for 2 boats coming up, and once they're out then we'll be able to go in and carry on down. The other boat is following us, so we'll be working together to do these 2 locks. Once we're through there, then there's miles and miles with no locks at all, so we can just cruise. Right, coming out of Poolstock Lock 2, so we've got through without any difficulties, and folks on Ellie May very kindly said they'll close everything up because they're cruising slowly now, because they've got an appointment to get a new crash cover fitted, and it's not for a few days, so there's no point in them pushing on. So it's a long straight cruise now, and past all the lakes, the flashes, so I'll get some pictures as we go by. We're now passing Scotman's Flash, which looks very holiday-like there with the sailing club on the far side. You can see this is caused by subsidence from the coal mines over here. I met a former miner recently. He told me a lot of the mines here were relatively shallow, and that's why they suffered so much from surface subsidence. The canal itself was shored up, the ground has subsided, and then these lakes have formed. There's a whole series of them along here, which makes quite a nice resource now. That's a very large sailing lake.